You mentioned music being like an addiction, the creative process. You have to do it. So when you start a project like this, do you think about what people might expect or what they know of you? Do you think about?
No,
Okay.
I never thought about what the people would expect. I think that if you start doing this, you're starting doing another job. It's another job. It's and you can't predict. You can't predict if tonight the hall will be full or not. I would never be a promoter. I think it's the most crazy, or producer for a movie. I mean, you put your money, you bet everything. It's like Russian roulette, you know.
Right.
It's and partly these days. So I think what you have to do is to be authentic, to do what you want to do, and then it works or it doesn't. I always thought that my life as an artist is between failures and success. Hopefully, I hope for more success than failures. But you know, it's where you are, and sometimes you meet the audience, you don't know why. Sometimes you do something that is going to be a hit. You don't know why. You work for 3 weeks and nothing happens in studio, and suddenly, bang, it comes to you, and you don't know where it's coming from. So we should. I think we should share copyrights with something with the stars somewhere.
Right. Well, you mentioned that you wanted to keep the type of minimalism that was in the original. Was it tempting, now that technology has obviously advanced so much, was it tempting not to throw in more and more because you could?
What do you mean?
Well, you mentioned the minimalism that was in the first. Now that there's so much possible with technology, was it tempting not to overdo it with what is possible?
Yes, it's another very interesting question, because I have the tendency to put too much, like everybody. I mean, less is more, as we know, and it's a constant challenge. I have always a big admiration of a novel with few words and short sentences, with a movie with an economy of shots of light, and with music where you have space. I think the best music is when it's clear. You know, for instance, Blue Lines from Massive Attack is a masterpiece, because you can feel the space between every sound, and it's what I'm trying to do. And it was very difficult with Electronica, because when you worked, I mean, I ended with Armin van Buuren, or with Hans Zimmer, or with Pete Townsend, with 100 tracks like this, and it takes you. I mean, it took me maybe 3 weeks or 1 month to just mix one track, because the problem after, you have to clean and to make a choice. To make choice between what is the most important, because otherwise you end in with a big organ sound like this, that you don't have perspectives and all that. So it's difficult, and it's the reason why I needed to go to this kind of minimalist approach, and it's really I would like to do in the future. For instance, I really like. I'm just thinking about Pets from Dead Mouse. Is for me is a real masterpiece, because you have absolutely almost nothing. Or you have also this track from Chromatics, which is very good, with the click clock or something we use in Drive. It's very nice.
Oh, yeah.
You just have. And at one moment you have just one long break with just one note of an organ sound for, I don't know, 10 minutes. It could be 1 hour. You know, it's. I mean, these kind of things are, when it's extreme, it's always interesting. Extreme things are always exciting.
It's very interesting what you mentioned, because, well, a few names. You mentioned Hans Zimmer, but also John Carpenter you've worked with. And now, is music for you very visual? Because I know you painted when you were younger. So is music for you a visual thing?
Yes, it's yes and no. Actually, yes and no. It's always very visual, because I always doing soundscapes. But I don't have necessarily a precise visual in mind. Is the reason I'm a kind of I'm quite an anti-MTV guy.
Okay.
I don't like videos when you see I don't know, on a song I love, suddenly I see a girl running on the beach. I say, what is she doing? Well, it's not my vision of the music. It's just destroying. I don't want to see that, because my sound is different. I really consider that my music should be the soundtrack of the story of the movie that somebody can create listening to my music. It's really what I want to do. It's true in the music I'm doing in studio. It's true also for stage. For instance, you will see tonight, if you're around. I mean, all the visuals I'm using are not narrative. There is no narrative content. It's more part of the orchestration of the music itself. And it's really what I like the most. But having said that, for me, visuals are very important. My main source of inspirations are movies.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, when I started, it has been such an influential importance for lots of musicians, but for me, particularly 2001: Space Odyssey, and then I became friend with the author, with Arthur C. Clarke. He actually, I was really amazed to see my name in the acknowledgement on 2010,
okay.
and then these kind of, but also all kinds of movies, and also the relationship between music and images, with the sound, the work of soundtracks is really important to me. And funnily enough, I didn't make that many movies, probably because of, I always consider this was my father's territory. My father was a great composer for soundtracks, and but because I think that what I'm doing is a continuous soundtrack for the people listening to my music.
So finally then, because these days electronic music is completely different than it was when you started out, and then kind of the first Oxygène came out. So what is your view on electronic music today? You've worked with a lot of people from the industry, 30 people over the last two Electronica albums. Do you think it's a good thing how accessible everything has become?
Absolutely. I think, the reverse would be very fascist or very reactionary.
Sure.
I mean, people saying, but today, I mean, everybody can have access of this. It reminds me about the Vatican against Gutenberg when we invented printing, and because suddenly books could be available for everybody, and the Vatican say, wow, I mean, knowledge is not going to be our monopoly. We are going to lose this. It's exactly the same thing. I mean, today it's great that with a small plug-in and a small gear, maybe you can have the next masterpiece of the 21st century. It's magic. It's something great. But when you say it has evolved so much, I think technology has evolved so much. I'm not sure that music is evolving. I'm not sure that if there is a notion of progress in music. I think what Chinese musicians wanted to express, or Egyptian musicians wanted to express 5,000 years ago, or what the DJ wants to express today, I think it's the same, because by the end of the day, it's about what? It's making the air vibrating. Our job as musicians is making the air vibrating. And depending on how you make the air vibrating, you create tears, you create boredom, the desire of sex, of moving your body until the end of the night, and it's very subtle. It's just a subtle way of making the air vibrating in your own way. And it's the way you are making the air vibrating that we call style in music,
Sure. One last question I kind of think of. You mentioned music as being a kind of mirage that you're trying to get at. When do you think you've gotten closest to that mirage?
I don't know. Everything I think I've got it. Is a nasty animal, this mirage. I mean, it's very difficult to grab, and maybe it would never happen. Okay. And I will die with the hope that maybe in the next life I will get it.
Well, in that sense, because you mentioned how you still like to think that the best is still in you, and then how do you look back at do you think about your legacy, so to say, or what you left behind to the music world? Not really. I think I'm always. I feel very humble and very grateful to when I hear younger people saying that they are influenced by my work, because I'm very influenced by them. When you hear, I'm here the work of Armin, for instance, or Fuck Buttons or Air. This or Massive Attack, or lots of people, Chemical Brothers or Dead Mouse. All these people are very important they are part of my family. I think today, generally speaking, electronic music is everywhere, has no boundaries. But I think electronic music has a family, has a legacy, and has a future. And I feel very grateful to be part of these three elements or these three ingredients. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome.